What's up, Jetheads? And it's happened. Adam Gase has been fired as head coach of the New York Jets. Welcome back to Vinny and the Jets, episode number 19. Please like, share, and subscribe. So, the Jets close out the season with a loss to the New England Patriots, 28-14. We're locked into the number 2 pick. And you know what? I'm just glad this tumultuous, just disaster season has come to an end. Not much to see here. It didn't matter if they won the game, they lost the game. I had a series of fans blasting me online saying, well, how could you root against your team in a game that was meaningless to them? Well, did you not forget the team that they were playing against, their arch rivals? It has effect on their draft stock. And by them winning the game, they actually got backed up one spot. And instead of picking at 14, they'll be picking at 15. So yeah, it's one draft spot. What do you care? I care because I want to hurt their draft stock. So that being said, I'm totally okay with it, and just make the stench of the record look that much worse on Adam Gase, who now he's already been rumored to be wanted as OC for Alabama under Nick Saban, possible QB coach for Bill Belichick in New England. Fine, get the hell out of here. Go ruin to somebody else's QB after what you've done to Sam Darnold. Get the hell out of here. I don't care. The man shouldn't be allowed near a football quarterback at any level, professional, college, junior college, high school, Pop Warner. Get away from them. This guy will always be known as the QB killer. Always. I mean, listen to the numbers that I'll never forget them as long as I live or as long as I follow this woe-begone team. Finishes Adam Gase with an overall record as the head coach of the New York Football Jets, 9 wins and 23 losses over the course of 2 years. Listen to this. As a head coach, we're going back to the Miami days, 5 years. 36 of his 49 losses were by double digits. That's humiliating, unbelievable, embarrassing. And furthermore, the games that he won, 27 of 32 of his wins were by a single score or less. This guy has never been known to blast any teams. Never. But it's amazing how the football gods are always against the New York Jets, because 5 of his 6 wins in Miami came against Todd Bowles and his New York Jets team. And that's what I think really just struck it, that with Christopher Johnson, who's like, oh, I got to hire this guy. He's been beating up my team for years. Let's get him on our side of things. Unbelievable. But with that being said, he's gone. Stick a fork in him. His football career is done. At least it's done here in New York. I'm glad it's over with. And you knew it was a disaster from day one with the googly-eyed press conference. It kind of reminds me of the Giants got blasted when they hired Ben McAdoo, and everybody blasted him wearing the big suit. It was like, yep, we knew it was going to be a mistake when you saw him wearing that big suit. Just like with Adam Gase. You knew it was going to be a big mistake when you saw the googly eyes. You know when you just know? You just know. There's certain times in life when people say they'll never forget they were when something crazy happened. Like, people will tell you they know exactly where they were when JFK was assassinated. People will tell you exactly where they were when the Twin Towers came down. I knew exactly where I was when my phone just blew up that the Jets had hired Adam Gase as his head coach. I hope it's just a distant memory. And you know who breathes a sigh of relief the next day on Black Monday, I should say? Richie Kotite. He gets to maintain the record as the worst head coach still in the history of the franchise, who finished 4-27 in 2 years, 1-15 in 1996. We all remember that season. But in defense of Richie, he didn't go all the way to Week 13 without a win. I still remember. So, fast forward to where we're at now. With now that the know-it-all in Adam Gase, it's gone. A coach who drove away good players, wanted to bring in his guys, get rid of the good guys, and was an anti-player coach. You didn't want to discuss with the team at halftime. Didn't want to discuss after the game with the players. You see him on the sideline sitting alone in front of the Denny's menu. It just wanted nothing to do with the defense. Wanted nothing to do with the special teams. And his offenses were atrocious and back-to-back ranked dead last in the league. Dead last. So for the next head coach, preferably me, I know what they said, it doesn't have to be an offensive-minded guy. You're drafting a new quarterback. It needs to be an offensive-minded guy from day freaking one. And whoever the next quarterback is, whether it's Sam, whether it's somebody they draft, whether they bring in somebody via trade, I want the new head coach to be up his ass every single day from day one. Every single day. Because that's what makes a good head coach that's on top of the players. I don't want a guy who's a player-friendly coach. I want somebody who's going to be a ball buster, like a Bill Parcells. That's what this team freaking needs. A true CEO who oversees the whole thing and does things his goddamn way. So, let's talk about what just happened in the last couple of days. 2 press conferences. We'll start with that coward and Christopher Johnson, who decided to do a telephone conference so you didn't have to see his ugly face. Just another characteristic to show, once again, and I have to use this word with him, how spineless he is, you know? He didn't get out in front of the mistake. He didn't get out of the way and just say, listen, I got to own up to this. I brought this animal in. It's on me. And how about an apology? We as Jetsons, I think we have the best fan base there is, by far one of the most loyal in the league. To deal with this bullshit for so many years, he didn't own up to anything. And he tries to get you relaxed and excited, said, but don't worry, fans, because we got Joe Douglas. He's going to lead the way. Is he? Is he? Because from what I understand, who's going to be in the interview room? Him, Christopher Johnson, and the team president, who, when I didn't even know we had a team president. When I think of a team president of the Jets, I think of that other coward and Steve Gutman. Remember him? Ugh. Christopher Johnson shouldn't even be allowed in the interview room. Just let Douglas do his job. What are you paying this guy for? You gave him a 6-year deal because you trusted him as a football guy. He's got connections around the league. He's well respected around the league. Let him pick the guy and change the power structure. It's one thing to talk about it, it's one thing to think about it, but it's another thing to actually act upon it and make it where the power structure is the owner's at the top. Then comes the GM, and then comes the coach that you guys pick. That's what they need to do. But I mean, that press conference was just so spineless. It doesn't get me motivated to buy tickets or more merchandise. I'm done buying merchandise. Because I got fooled once again with buying a Sam jersey. I thought he was going to be the savior, like how I thought Mark was going to be the savior, how Gino was supposed to be the savior, how they all were supposed to be our saviors. We haven't had one since Joe Namath. I'm not buying their crap anymore. I'm not. I don't trust them. Because furthermore, you want to know who I want the next coach to be? I'm more worried about who's going to be the coach after this guy. Because if history has taught us anything, whoever they pick next, especially if Christopher Johnson has the final say, which that's what it sounds like it's going to be, they'll be here 3 years or less. They'll be fired, except the next time around, Douglas will be fired with him again, and then we get on this wheel and we start it all over again. You got to pick a guy you got to stick with and you got to believe in. Miami and Buffalo have true head coaches, and Bill Belichick isn't retiring anytime soon. And they consistently remain as the bottom feeders of the AFC East. And another thing that concerns me is Woody going to have a say? January 21st, he's the acting owner. Please, give Chris a swift kick in the ass and get him out of the building. Put him somewhere else. Make him the janitor. I don't even want him. I thought Woody was a bad owner. Woody at least had our team competitive every couple of years we were in the playoffs. Not for nothing. Since he's gone, they sucked. I mean, they haven't even been competitive. Nothing. Embarrassing. You know, I never thought I'd say it. Woody needs to be back, and he needs to take control of the whole franchise from top to bottom. And if that includes a say in player personnel, so be it. So, I made a list of the candidates from what I've heard that are either rumors or people that they've reached out to. I'm going to give you a little tidbit of what I think of each one of them, what's realistic, what shouldn't even be considered, what's far-fetched. Let me run through a really quick analysis. I'll give you some wild card picks. I'll give you Super Bowl picks at the end. So we can enjoy wild card weekend, even though our Jets aren't in it for the 10th consecutive year. Football's the best sport there is. I just wish I had a better thing to say about us. So we'll start with Eric Bieniemy, who I just saw on my phone that they concluded an interview with him today. I want no part of Eric Bieniemy. He's not the play caller in Kansas City. There's a reason why Andy Reid doesn't let him just fly solo. So, and I'm not dismissing the Andy Reid coaching tree, but if you're not calling the plays, what exactly are you doing? Are you really that good of an offensive coordinator, or are you just blessed with the fact that you're coaching up Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league? So Eric Bieniemy, No, thank you. Don't want no part of him. Next one that's intriguing is Matt Campbell, the head coach of Iowa State. This is a guy whose record speaks for itself. He took two bad programs and turned them around really quickly. And he's young, too. Only 41. This is a guy who's a CEO type of head coach. They reached out to him last year. He wanted no part of it. Now they're going to reach out to him again, and I think money always makes everything better. I'm on board with Matt Campbell. Next one is Brian Daboll, the OC for the Buffalo Bills. Not going to dismiss what he's done with Josh Allen. Hell of a job. Hell of a job. The offense is completely electric. Unbelievable job. He was actually with us, and I want to say it was 08, 09, the Favre year. He was the Jets quarterbacks coach. So he's been familiar with our building. That being said, I think he'll make a great head coach somewhere. His time has come. I don't like the idea of hiring within the AFC East again. So Brian Daboll, pass. Next one we have, another one I think is going to be a great head coach, and Robert Saleh, the DC over with San Francisco. Our situation is very unique. I'm almost positive, 95% sure, we're drafting a new quarterback. Sam is going to be gone. You can't bring in a defensive-minded guy to groom your next quarterback. You just can't. It's like Todd Bowles when he drafted Sam. It's not going to work out. It's different if you got an established team with a set quarterback, kind of like what Texans have in Deshaun Watson. I could see him going there. That's a perfect situation. Our situation is a total rebuild from the ground up. So Robert Saleh, good guy. I really like him. I don't like him for this job. Pass. Then we have the OC in Tennessee, and Arthur Smith, the guy who resurrected Ryan Tannehill from the evil clutches of Adam Gase. Unbelievable. They were minutes away from a Super Bowl berth last year. A lot of that has to do with the input of Arthur Smith and what he had to do with just resurrecting Ryan Tannehill's career. Granted, it wasn't as awful as Sam's has been under Adam Gase. Hell of a job, though. And you know what? He's young. He's ready to make the transition. Tennessee their record speaks for itself. They were a team that nobody wanted to talk about until Mike Vrabel put in his own staff there. Unbelievable job. I would welcome Arthur Smith with open arms. Come on aboard. Next couple are some guys that I don't know too much about. Got the DC from the Indianapolis Colts and Matt Eberflus. Don't know much about him. Never been a head coach at any level. No, thank you. No, I'm no part of Matt Eberflus. Also, another one that they reached out to, but he just re-signed with the Giants, is their DC and Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham is not coming here, and I don't want him here. Another guy, his resume is not deep enough. I'm sorry. Another similar situation, they reached out to the defensive coordinator of the LA Rams and Brandon Staley. Another guy, very thin resume, defensive-minded coach, very, very young. It's a hard pass for me. I don't even know anything about this guy. And then here's another one that I think is intriguing, and I would not be surprised if he lands the job because of his connection to Joe Douglas, is Don Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator in Baltimore. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the same situation. Defensive-minded coach, and you're about to draft a quarterback. If they make a trade for somebody established, like a Deshaun Watson, because I hear rumblings about that with their cap situation, then I would be on board with the Wink Martindale. I would, because then you got two guys that know each other and can work well with each other. But if you're drafting a quarterback, I want no part of this. So that I'm like, I'm kind of in limbo on that one. We'll see how it plays out with this big trade that they're going to do, either for Darnold or the number 2 pick. Couple wild cards I want to mention. A few weeks ago, I did a video about what it would take to get Bill Cowher here on board. We don't have the number 1 pick. That ship has sailed. I'm not going to go into detail with that. You don't have the number 1 pick. Trevor Lawrence ain't coming here. Bill Cowher's not coming here. He's going to have time in the CBS analyst booth. Is what it is. It sucks. I would have welcomed him here. I would have been excited. He's not coming. Let it go. Let it go. Jim Harbaugh, on the other hand, is holding up his contract negotiations with Michigan. And it sounds to me, from what my sources tell me, is there's only 2 jobs he's interested in. The LA Chargers, the New York Jets. Harbaugh's record speaks for itself. He brought the 49ers to a Super Bowl. He brought them to 3 straight NFC Championship games, and he was a couple plays away from being in 3 Super Bowl appearances. He played quarterback in the NFL for 14 years for 3 different franchises. The man knows about the NFL. This is the guy I would bring in if you're drafting a quarterback. This is the type of CEO, head coach that would command instant respect in the locker room and around the league. And I think it would take 2 years for him to just get them to be playing really up to par. Believe me, I'm a big believer in Jim Harbaugh, and I would pay top dollar to get him here. So Jim, you want to come? Our fan base is waiting. Next one was a guy that they reached out to weeks ago. I don't see happening is head coach of Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald. I think something would happen now, especially the fact they've already reached out to him. I mean, he's got a very cushy job. I mean, he's king of the castle up there in Northwestern. The only job I could see him realistically taking, because he's already there, would be with the Chicago Bears if they were able to can Matt Nagy. I mean, they just got into their way into the playoffs, well, realistically, but I don't think they're going to get rid of Nagy after this year. So I think he's just going to continue to sit tight, build up his resume, build up more and more wins until he's really ready to make the jump. I don't see him coming here. And then the last one is another one I don't see realistic is Dan Mullen, the head coach of the Florida Gators. No NFL connection whatsoever. I think it's just exercise, interviewing qualities and just get in the habit of Douglas, like meeting these guys, what kind of character they have, what kind of leadership abilities they have, how are they going to, build a team from top to bottom, address a draft, address free agency. But is Dan Mullen going to be that guy? I don't think so. So let's move into game picks. There's 6 playoff games this weekend. We'll go through them really quick. My season concluded this way, regular season. Last week I went 8-8. For the season with the point spread, I went 120, 125, 4 pushes. My lock got busted last week, but I ended with a winning record on locks, 9-8 on the year. So not too bad. Around 500, just below 500. So first game is going to be the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Buffalo Bills. Bills are at home -7. Unbelievable job this year. I think Buffalo's the Cinderella team of the 2020 year. Not only do I think Buffalo wins, I think they absolutely blast Indianapolis. So take Buffalo -7. Next game is the third matchup of the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's -4.5. They completed the sweep. I think they go with the trifecta. Seattle -4.5. Last one on Saturday. Tampa Bay is at Washington. Washington's at home +8 because of the crummy NFC East. This is the only game I like the road team. I like Tampa big in this one, so I would take Tampa -8. Then we move to Sunday. We got the Baltimore Ravens in a third matchup at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's at home +3.5. I don't think they get the respect they deserve. I like Tennessee +3.5, and I think they win on the field. Next one, Chicago Bears, who backdoored their way to the playoffs at the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans -9.5. This is the one on Sunday that I think they absolutely blast them. Take the Saints in a huge win. I think by double digits, Saints -9.5. And the last one, we have a third matchup, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. They split during the year. Pittsburgh's at home -4. Cleveland has 3 of their staff that have COVID-19, one of which is their head coach. I think that's what just does them in to finish their season. Hey, congrats on Cleveland ending their playoff drought, but Pittsburgh's going to put them away very quickly. Pittsburgh -4. So, now we're going to get into our Super Bowl picks. I drew up a diagram here of the playoff bracket. I don't know if you could see it there or not, but I'm just going to run through it really quick. So, that being said, in the AFC, you already know my picks, so it would be the final 4 in the AFC would be Tennessee going to Kansas City. I think Kansas City will beat them. Then you'd have Buffalo hosting Pittsburgh. I think Buffalo beats them. AFC title game, I have Buffalo at KC, and Buffalo pulls a shocking upset to get to their first Super Bowl in over 25 years. Buffalo's your AFC champions. Let's go to the NFC. You already heard my first 4 picks earlier. So in the second round, we have Tampa visiting Green Bay. This is where Tampa's season comes to an end, and Aaron Rodgers shreds them. Green Bay is going to host the NFC title game. Other bracket, Seattle visits New Orleans. Seattle pulls the upset, depending on the health of Drew Brees. I think it's his last game as the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Seattle is going to go visit Green Bay at Lambeau Field for the NFC title in a shootout. And I think Green Bay wins the NFC title to meet the Buffalo Bills for the Super Bowl. My Super Bowl prediction is the Green Bay Packers defeat the Buffalo Bills 35-32, Super Bowl champions. So guys, thank you again for tuning in. It's been a pleasure doing this channel. I hope we can continue it throughout the playoffs. I hope the Jets pick the right head coach. I'm rooting for Jim Harbaugh, but the right guy, the right quarterback, the right setup. We'll talk next week about this, unless, of course, they make a surprise hire. Until next week, take care.